Hello, I'm Pat Welburn. I am a master gardener and have been since 2011. I'm still learning, lots of things to learn, but one of my passions is herbs. So today we're going to talk about growing your herbs. Herbs germinate very well from seed. You can also buy the plants. The only thing about germinating from the herbs, the seeds, is that you do need a lot of light. You've got a lot of light. And then when growing the herbs and planting them, if you do them in container gardening or if you do them in a flower bed, if you do them in a flower bed, I'd recommend you get your soil tested. The container gardening for older citizens is a lot easier to go. We used to have large herb beds, but anyway, now we do just the container gardening. So they need at least 6 hours of sunlight. Herbs do not like to be wet. They don't like to stay wet. They need a well-drained soil. So if you have your 6 hours of sunlight, they're disease resistant. They hardly ever get anything on them. My favorite though would be basil. And it is just, this one is just the cinnamon basil. When you get into herbs, you'll find them different times. I just go with the common thyme or French thyme. The sages, there's different sages. I like just the old-fashioned sage. The oreganos, there's several different oreganos. Some of them are stronger. You just have to find out what you like. Rosemary. Rosemary's wonderful. They're all wonderful. But like I say, the basil is my favorite. And when you are working with your basil to dry it, you would want to put them in ice trays. They do dry, but when they dry black. So I put, if you would just chop up your leaves, put them in an ice tray of tomato juice, water, or just oil. And then if you make soups or spaghetti, you can just get them out in the wintertime with your ice cubes and go with it. The sticks, after you take all the leaves and strip them, the stems, you can use the stems. You can put them in your wood burner, fire pit. You can make kebabs. The kebabs work well with rosemary too. After the stems have gotten very mature and you've finished drying and stripped it of all of the leaves, then you can use those as kebabs. So when I dry my flowers, my herbs, you can, as we call it, harvesting. You can harvest any time of the year or the growing season as long as your plant has got mature. You know, you wouldn't want to go out and just cut the whole thing out. But when it has matured, then I collect my herbs. I'll be like this. And I'll put them in bundles about this size with a rubber band. I've got a paper clip. Can you see the paper clip? I've got it spread apart. And the thing about putting a rubber band on it is that as it dries, of course that rubber band is going to shrink. And when it has dried, after I've dried, I put it in a paper bag. I've got one in here now. And I'll line this paper bag with bundles of my herbs. And in a couple of weeks, okay, let me say too that you keep them in the house where you got good airflow and it's a dry, you wouldn't want to put them in your bathroom. It's a dry area and no direct light. That way it keeps their colors. Then when they have dried, then I put parchment paper down on my table and I'll take those herbs between my hands and I'll just do them like that and they'll be all over the place. And then you can put them in Ziploc bags or little jars to preserve them. And I recommend you only keep them a year. And I know some of you probably got herbs that were given little spice racks when you got married. Hopefully you're not using them and they're just looking pretty. But a year is all I keep my fresh herbs. And when cooking with these fresh herbs, you would use twice as much fresh as you do some that you've already bought from the store or any that you dried. And because as it dries, it gets stronger. So you use twice as much when a recipe calls for 1 tablespoon, you're going to use the 2 tablespoons. The herbs give you a lot of pleasure. They have me. There's just some that are tender herbs, like this lemon verbena is also another favorite of mine. It's, these herbs are Mediterranean. They're tropical, or dry plants, I guess you'd say. They love the heat, but they don't like our humidity. And of course, when the cold comes, they don't last. But now the sage will last. It will winter over. I've had rosemary to winter over, and I've had oregano to winter over. But it is just wonderful to go out in November. And last year, I went out and I clipped some rosemary, I clipped sage, and I put it in a bubble bag with a wet paper towel and a Ziploc bag, and I mailed them to my mother in Madisonville for her to fix her turkey. And it's just nice to go out and still be able to get fresh from that time of the year. So I think that is my story on herbs.